the field of 8 set, the final 8, the Elite 8 of the National Football League. The final 4 in each conference is set after the Monday Night Football game went down in Pittsburgh, PA, and it just was a total and complete beatdown of the Pittsburgh Steelers in the fourth quarter. The dam broke, the levee broke, however you want to put it, on however the Steelers were holding off the marauding Texans defense for 3 quarters. Couldn't put a touchdown on the board whatsoever. And at the end of the day, it was a 30-6 final score washout in a game that the Steelers had for the taking if they could only put enough together on offense to somehow, some way pop one in the end zone. And sure enough, the final touchdown of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers was the one that helped them beat the Baltimore Ravens on the final night. And all that it served to do was, yes, give them a division title, which is obviously something you want to have. And yes, a home playoff game, which is obviously something that you want to have. But all it did at the end of the day was just delay what everybody thought would have happened in Pittsburgh, PA, had Tyler Loop of the Baltimore Ravens split the uprights rather than miss one to the right. And that is what is happening in Pittsburgh now that Mike Tomlin has lost a 7th consecutive playoff game. Now that Aaron Rodgers completed the first season in Pittsburgh for him, age 42. Now what happens to them? And I understand, again, that the Houston Texans won this game, and I'm going to give them their flowers momentarily. But at this point in time, we were wondering how this Pittsburgh season would play out, from the way that it ended last year to the fact that Aaron Rodgers was targeted by Pittsburgh the minute he flew across the country, just to be told by another Aaron, your services are no longer required. He took his time. There was a lot of conversation about whether that time would be up in time for the draft. It wasn't. Everyone was wondering when Rodgers would make a decision. He finally did. He goes to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the question is, would he be able to somehow, some way, under the circumstances in Pittsburgh, get the Steelers to the playoffs? Check that box. Would he be able to get them into the playoffs in advance for the first time in forever? And that box was unable to be checked. And now comes the questions about what should be done in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I already know what's going to happen. I know. But in this day and age, one never knows. Did not think John Harbaugh would be made available. Didn't know that then Mike McDaniel would be made available after being told essentially, go about your business and giving exit interviews to the media and your players, only to be fired 3 days later than what normally happens. But I'll hold that in abeyance for the moment, when this is how it all went down after the game with Aaron Rodgers and the media about his future.
Aaron, does that game affect your decision for what to do next year in any way?
No, I mean, I'm not going to make any emotional decisions. Disappointed, obviously, such a fun year. A lot of adversity, but a lot of fun. Been a great year, overall in my life in the last year, and this is, a really good part of that, coming here and being a part of this team. So it's disappointing to be sitting here with the season over.
Play again, do you want it to be here?
I'm not going to talk about that.
Shutting it all down. Basically not even saying, if I'm playing, I'm going to be here. Why would he cut anything off at the pass right now? Why would he say, I'm only playing here, when that might not be the case? Especially since I don't think he'd be playing there if Mike Tomlin's not there. I could say that with about 99.9% Michael Jordan's not walking through that door certainty.
I agree.
Unless it's somebody from his past who he absolutely loves and would love to get started on a 22nd year with him. Because he's got to sit here and say to himself, if I have the temerity to actually get inside his skull and
be careful,
think about what he's going to say or what he is thinking, He's got to sit here and think, I still have it in my arm, and I still have it neck up, to the ability where I was able to avoid this rush for 3 quarters until the roof caved in, leading to, by the way, the first ever return for a touchdown in the history of the National Football League with a ball on the ground by a defensive tackle. Sheldon Rankins is the first defensive tackle to return a fumble for a touchdown. And then, of course, this is another reason why a lot of people think Rodgers will not be able to walk away, because his last throw, his last snap in the National Football League was a pick six. And Tom Brady's last snap as a New England Patriot was a pick six in a playoff loss orchestrated by, wait for it, Mike Vrabel. And he didn't walk away. He went somewhere else and had a final couple of seasons till he was 45. So he walked away north of age 40 from New England and finished up his career and got another trophy. And maybe that's something when Rodgers stares out at the Malibu sunset he'll be thinking about. So I don't blame him for saying, I'm not answering it right now, because everything is highly emotional. You saw him on the sideline swearing like a sailor, upset about certain things. He has to be sitting here thinking, is this the way it's going to end? I'm sure it was not easy for Mike Tomlin and him to put their heads together and make a decision about him not coming out for that last mop-up duty that was Mason Rudolph's gig. Because somebody who's a first ballot Hall of Famer doesn't hold a mop in his hand. The whole thing kind of sucks for it to end that way. And we'll see what happens. I have no idea about a sense of timing or anything like that. I'm sure everyone's going to want to know. And the first step is what's going to happen with Mike Tomlin. And this is what he had to say about his future. I just don't know if he wants to end on a pick six. Well, that doesn't even matter to him. I have no earthly idea. I've already opined enough on what I think he's thinking. Now let's talk about the Texans. And then Alex Smith is going to join us. Headline for the Houston Texans: they can win it all. This defense, I've been fortunate enough to be around the NFL since 2003. This is my 23rd postseason with NFL Network. The first Super Bowl I ever attended was the one that the Ravens won with their defense and Trent Dilfer and Brian Billick and beating up the Giants. And this defense of the Houston Texans is up there with that one. I know I'm talking about one of the all-time greats. But again, I saw what they did last night. I saw it with my own 2 eyes calling the game between the Texans and the Chargers on NFL Network and that Week 17 Saturday after Christmas. This is no joke, folks. They just come at you, and they keep coming at you, and they keep coming at you. Young and veteran, all of them, all 3 levels. My God, all 3 levels. They've got guys on the back end that's baiting you to pick you off, or somebody like Jalen Petrie up there with his guardian cap just throwing his body around like he doesn't have one on his head. And then Azeez Al-Shire right there in the middle, the Pro Bowler. He's one of the fastest sideline to sideline backers I've ever seen. Toe. Obviously, you got the 2 guys on the ends as well. The guys in the middle. Sheldon Rankins, again, first defensive tackle in the history of the NFL to return a fumble for a touchdown in the playoffs. They were all over the place, man. All over the place. And when their quarterback couldn't hang on to snaps, everyone's wondering what was going on with C.J. Stroud last night. Now, the Steelers' defense is no joke as well. Okay, like that'll make you look at the rush instead of down the field, make you think about, do I have the snap or not? I don't know what was going on with C.J. Stroud. And that'll be the conversation between now and kickoff, Chris, of that game in Foxborough on Sunday. Is Stroud going to be good enough to overcome what inevitably will be some sort of remarkable athletic achievement, scoring play by Drake May, Travion Henderson, name the playmakers there. I think the wideouts are going to have a tough time getting open on this defense. Just my first blush reaction of how that first game of Divisional Sunday is going to go.
Agree.
But is Stroud going to be putting up enough points on the board? Nico Collins got carted off.
Yep.
again, not to go too deep on a preview here the day after the wild card Monday ended, but defensively, holy crap. I mean, that's the headline. They were good all season long, and they were exactly what the doctor ordered last night when Stroud came up with, by the way, a fumbleitis that he had all last night is exactly what they needed. And after the game, D'Amico Ryans, I think we have him talking about his defense. This is what he had to say about that side of the ball.
It was an outstanding defensive performance, one of the best that I've seen, especially versus a really talented offense, talented quarterback who's, played at a high level for a long time. So I'm proud of our defensive performance. I think this is the best performance we've had in our team history. So I'm proud of our guys for that, to limit the points, to take the football away, not only just take it away, but to go score. You get 2 defensive touchdowns, that's a big deal. It doesn't happen much, and those guys did what they have been doing all year, playing disruptive, playing violent up front, and it helped us to win the game today.
And again, C.J. Stroud last night found enough offense, just enough offense. And Christian Kirk, what an addition, the former Jaguar and Arizona Cardinal, exactly what they needed, certainly with Nico Collins knocked out with a concussion. 8 catches, 144 receiving yards, and that receiving touchdown that put them up. And that 1-point lead that they had on Pittsburgh felt like a 10-point lead because of this defense. And Stroud had this to say afterwards.
We had some problems with the snaps. Me catching them, got to find a way just to catch them and then take care of the ball. I think these games, the playoffs games, from my experience, like, they're going to make plays, we're going to make plays. It's all about, moving forward and, trying your best to, flush it and keep going. So, I thought, when every time we had to bounce back, we made more plays. So, I'm proud of our guys for having a little bit of resilience in those moments. And, to finish the game like that was really dope.
Well, how you learn resilience? You start 0-3, you make the playoffs anyway, and you win a playoff game. The only other team to do that was the 1992 Los Angeles, or at the time, San Diego Chargers. That's resilience. You go 0-3, you make the playoffs. You win a playoff game, you go to the divisional round anyway, for the 3rd straight year, I might add. And interestingly enough, C.J. Stroud, if you remember last year in the game against the Chargers, they were losing that game, and the momentum was all about the lightning bolts until he fumbled a snap, picked it up, made a remarkable offensive play. The whole momentum changed. I was waiting to see if any of those fumbles would lead to that. It didn't, because the defense needed to come up big. And it did. It's a championship defense that can take the Texans the whole freaking way, 100%.